In the hood, I was called the crazy old white man. Then I moved to downtown Detroit, and I became Then I went on internet radio, and I was just called the crazy old man. So please, listen to the Crazy Old Man Network. Thank you. Well, hello there, how you doing? And this show is going to be some things I've said, some things that I will say. And what I'm doing is I did a lot of little short things, like first thing I'm going to play is Atlanta in the mid-50s, which is about my experiences in Atlanta in the mid-50s. Then I'm going to give you an idea of my teenage years. Then I'm going to let you know what it's like for a homeless person in Detroit. And I'm going to say a few other things that I hope you enjoy. Things that I think may be considered words of wisdom. And so then after I do all that stuff, I might talk some, and again I might not. I never know what I'm going to do from 1 minute to the next. I like to surprise myself. So here we go with Atlanta in the mid-50s. Hi, how you doing? My name is Lee, and this is a little deal that I'm doing for YouTube. Got an itch on my back. It hurts. Okay. I am going to talk about me. I'm going to give you an idea of who I am, what I am, and why I am. I have a few names. One is a crazy old white man, and another is crazy old man. On Blog Talk Radio, I've got a whole bunch of radio shows in the Crazy Old Man Network. But that's not what I'm going to talk about on this one. there's another video right next to me that tells you about that. I am 65 years old. I am a dirty old man. I have a bad heart, which doesn't really bother me. I've got a defibrillator pacemaker implant. I've got high blood pressure. I've got arthritis in my knees. And I've had a stroke before. So I've had some ups and downs medically. But that's no big thing. I was born in Indianapolis, Indiana in 1944. Do you really care? I don't think you do. But I'm just going to give you an idea of what I'm about. In the middle 50s, I lived in Atlanta, Georgia for 2 years. And I didn't really like it. I mean, Atlanta was a beautiful city, but the racism, they were practicing apartheid down there. And it was probably just as bad as South Africa used to be. I met a lot of black people down there, and before I moved down there, I really didn't see that many. And I didn't like the idea of having to sit on the front of the bus. I preferred the back of the bus. But because of the color of my skin, I couldn't do that. When I wanted to have a drink, I didn't care what color the water fountain was. I needed a drink. And people would get upset when I drink out of the brown one. When I had to go to the bathroom, I went to the closest men's room. People got upset when I went in the one with the brown door. It was stupid. Now, they talked about Southern hospitality. That was if you were white. I mean, it was ridiculous the way things were. And when I left Atlanta, went back to St. Louis, my whole mindset was changed. And when I got back to St. Louis, the schools were integrated. During school, I hung around the black kids a lot. But outside of school, I couldn't see them. I couldn't go to their neighborhood, and they couldn't come to mine. So I hung with the white guys. I really liked the black women then too, but couldn't date them. That was taboo. So what I did was just have fun and enjoy myself. And after I graduated from high school, I went in the Navy. Ended up in Key West, Florida. On the ship, most of my friends were black. When I go out on Liberty, most of my friends were white. That's the way it was. I had a friend, and he liked white women. He was black. His father was a brain surgeon in Boston. He was raised in an all-white neighborhood, went to an all-white school. And he could go out with the white girls. Because he was thought of as, just since his father was a wealthy brain surgeon, they didn't care. Now down in Florida, this was in the early 60s, and it was illegal for a black man to marry a white woman or vice versa. Any mixed marriages were illegal. Again, doesn't make sense to me. We're all human beings. The only difference is the color of the skin. We all started in the same place with the same man, but there were two women that started it all. This has been proven scientifically with DNA. They took DNA from people all over the world, and they traced it back to one man and two women. Anyway, okay, I forgot. That's my whole young life. I did a chapter in my book about Atlanta in the mid-50s. And what I was going to do, I did an audio book, but the last chapter of the book didn't make it in there for some reason. And I was going to play the audio book, and when I got to the last chapter, I was going to make that into the last chapter of the audio book. But I think what I'm going to do is a lot of my shows I'm going to be talking about the past and things that were in the book and things after the book. And so anyway, a couple of things about Atlanta in the mid-50s. My best friend was a black kid. His parents were caretakers of these stables that were behind in my house. And they had some beautiful horses. And the owner of the stables said that I could ride anytime I wanted to. And so there was quite a big area to ride. Right now, it's all houses in that area. They lived in a one-room stone house. They didn't have running water. They didn't have electricity. They had a well. They had an outhouse. They'd take a bath. They'd take their water, or they had a big bucket of water, and they'd put it on the wood stove, heat the water, then throw it in the bathtub. And then they'd have to throw some cold water in too. But they had, I think, a couple pigs. They had a cow, a little bull calf. He wasn't really that little. He was about 3/4 grown. And they had chickens. They had some corn and other crops. And so they ate off the land. And they, the little bull calf I used to love to ride, and the son was a couple years older than I was. And we had a ball. And I'd be riding the bull calf, and one time it was headed towards the end of the barn, and there were pieces of wood going across, and I figured it'd stop, but it didn't. It went under, it broke the bottom piece, and I got caught on the top piece. And I came home just full of black and blue marks. My mother says, "What happened? What happened?" I said, "Well, I was riding the bull calf and I got thrown a few times." And she said, "Oh, okay, that's all right." See, what my parents understood that I was going to get hurt a lot. I had a broken leg, I had a broken shoulder, I had to have stitches above my eye and almost lost my eye. And if they were my parents today, and I take that back. If we were living today, in my young years, my parents would probably be in jail because as they would think my parents were abusing me, and they weren't abusing me, I was abusing myself. And back then, most, especially boys, were having things like that happen. And so, anyway, I asked his mother if he could come up to my house and play. And she said no. I said, "Why not?" She said, "Well, if he comes up to your house, all the white kids in the neighborhood would never play with you again. And the parents would not talk to your parents." I said, "Well, my parents really don't give a damn. They said I can bring them up any time." And, well, I didn't say give a damn. I said didn't care. If I would have said give a damn, she probably would have slapped me. But she said, "No, can't do it." And during the summer, I never played with the kids in my neighborhood. I played with him the whole time. I think kids in my neighborhood thought I was gone. And, but he was so much fun, and it really bothered me the way he had to live, but he and his parents were very happy. And they were a lot of fun. And later on in life, when I went from the suburbs to the inner city, I found out again that people that are down can enjoy life. And when I was down, I enjoyed life. But Atlanta, to me, when I left there, it changed my whole life. That is why I am what I am today. I left Atlanta thinking white folks were crazy. And at the time down there, most white folks were crazy because of the way they were. The racism was rampant down there. And it never made any sense to me. When my father would take me in with him when he'd go to work on Saturdays. And his office was at a trucking company, and there was a big area where trucks would come in and drop off their loads, and then they were moved to another truck. And all the guys that were loading and unloading the truck were black. And on Saturday, there'd be a bunch of them there, even though there wasn't that much activity. And I'd sit there and talk to them. So I wanted a drink, and I went to the brown water fountain. They said, "Oh, you can't do that." I said, "Look, when I'm thirsty, I don't care what color the water fountain is." And I said, "Well, if the white folks see you, you'll be in big trouble." And then I had to go to the bathroom real bad, so I went to the men's room with a brown door and got the same lecture. To me, that was stupid. going into a restaurant, and blacks weren't allowed in the restaurants unless it was a black restaurant. And if they did eat there, they ate in the kitchen. Yeah, and the part on the bus, where blacks had to sit in the back of the bus. I preferred the back of the bus. Again, to me, it was stupid. And I rode the bus a lot, and the only contact I really had with blacks at the time, when I was before Atlanta, was on the bus. And I never noticed any difference. Anyway, that's Atlanta in the mid-50s. Haven't been back since, except stop over on an airplane, and we were only there for about an hour, so I really couldn't see anything of the city. Excuse me. But from what I understand, it's a lot better now down there. And there's more people from the north down there now. Where in Detroit, most of your people have their roots in the south. And so anyway, I'm going to go to the teenage years. And I'm pretty sure this is all the teenage years. And after that, I don't know what I'm going to play. I'll figure it out when I get there. So here we go. From people all over the world. And they traced it back to one man and two women. Anyway, let's continue on with my illustrious life. As a kid, I was a con artist. All the parents thought I was the perfect son. My parents, I think they knew that I wasn't perfect, but they thought I was better than what I was. Because when I got out of the house, I was a little con artist, and we used to play practical jokes on everybody. It didn't matter. I'll give you a couple examples. There were four of us, and we went into a grocery store. And at first we started going through the meat and throwing the meat around. And then going, just down the thing and vegetables and everything. And the store manager comes right up to us and says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, my friend here lost his contact lens, and we're trying to find it." And we had the stock boys out there with brooms, sweeping the floor carefully. And we were by the broom going through everything. And finally, we were just about ready to bust out laughing, so we decided to end it. And the kid who supposedly lost his contact lens said, "Oh, here it is." And he goes, acts like he puts it in, and he even gets a little tear out of his eye. And so we got up, walked out. As soon as we got out, we started laughing. Oh, I forgot to mention, there was a crowd gathered around us. And we could hear the people in the crowd. And the guy says, "What happened?" "He lost his contact lens." "What's a contact lens?" "His contact lens just came out." Another time, we were riding in an old hearse, 1935 or 6 Packard, I forget which. And in the back it had a thing that you put the casket in, and we made it look like the casket. We had a top on it, a casket cover. Come up to a stoplight, and a guy jumps out of the back of the hearse. And I had a starter pistol, and I shot him. Two other guys went, threw him into the casket, closed the casket, we got in the hearse, drove off. Everybody just sat there trying to figure out what happened. We had a lot of fun. And it was worth it. We never got caught. See, that's the thing. Like, one time, though, we TP'd a house. So you take toilet paper and throw it up in the trees and everything. And we did a beautiful job. Made the mistake of parking in front of a house that was under construction. The people across the street said that, called the police and said that there was a suspicious car. Now, the house we TP'd was right next door, a little bit behind, but it was on the street next to it. And the house that told the cops about us was a corner house, and this one was on right behind it, really. So, but you could see that we TP'd it from the corner. So we get in the car, and we're going and getting out of there. And they had these wooden horses to slow the traffic, and you had to go around. We brought them so that I was driving a Falcon, and I could get through, but a big car couldn't. Go around the corner, and red lights go on, and spotlight shines on us. Now, there were 3 cops in the neighborhood. 2 of them liked me, and 1 didn't like me. Called him Leo the Louse. Just so happened Leo was on duty. He comes up, tells us to follow him. We follow him. He gets to where we move the wooden horses closer together, slams on his brakes, comes back to our car. And the reason I made sure of it that we could get through was because that's what we were going to say. We got through. Kid in the back seat got scared and confessed. Oh, that made me mad. So, had to follow Leo to this house. They said, "Yep, that's the car." Now, the house we TP'd was in plain sight. But Leo never noticed it. And the neighbors never noticed it. This was about 2 in the morning, maybe. And so, Leo, we drive to where the other kid, or one of the other kids had a car, so he took the guy home. The other guy home. Should have just left him there because he's the one that got us in trouble, got me in trouble. So we go to the police station. Police station is right above the Kroger store. Yep, they had Kroger back then. So he takes me into the police station and writes it up. Then he calls the street commissioner. By this time, it's about 3 in the morning. Street commissioner wasn't too happy. Street commissioner did not like my brother. So Leo says what happened about the horses. And the street commissioner said, "Who is it?" Leo told him, and noticing that my brother is the one he hates. He says, "Throw the book at him." And so Leo has it set up, and he says, "You'll get a notice in the mail for a court date, and let me go." Month goes by, no notice for a court date. So I go to my best cop friend, name is White Cotton. I lived in an area where his brother was a cop, and his brother and I were good friends. And so I asked him about it. He said, well, remember when I told you that no matter what you do, I'm not going to do anything about it unless someone reports it? I said, yeah. Well, he said, someone reported this time, didn't they? I said, yeah. And he says, I came in on duty and I saw the report on the desk and I tore it up and threw it away. But I didn't want to tell you because I wanted you to sweat it out. So I let you sweat it out. A day in the life of a homeless person is a composite of those I've seen. I'm going to tell you about the day in the life of Joe Wino. Joe was homeless and a drunk. At one time he was a successful businessman, but he lost his family in an auto accident. After the accident he could not function. He started to drink to make the pain go away. Soon he could not function at work and got fired. Then he lost his house and found himself in the streets. During the warm parts of the year, he sleeps on park benches, in alleys, or in abandoned buildings, bus stop shelters, or anywhere else he can lie down and go to sleep. During the winter, if the shelters are full, he tries to find something inside. May not be heated, but he has some blankets to help keep the cold out of his body. All his belongings are in a plastic bag. In the morning, he gets up and heads for the garbage cans and the dumpsters. He looks for bottles that he can turn in for deposit money, food, or something to drink. The problem with the bottles is that more people are drinking and water out of the bottles, and those have no deposit. That cuts on it down his income. He likes the dumpsters behind the restaurant because they sometimes have food, especially after meal times. If he is lucky, he will not have to spend money on food. That gives him more money for his liquid refreshment. Joe is at the bus stop. When the bus stops, he gets on and asks if anyone can help him with his bus fare. If there is a sucker, he gets the fare and jumps off. Can't do this too often because each bus driver remembers him and will eventually stop picking him up. When he gets enough for a cheap half pint, he goes to the liquor store and buys the cheapest half pint he can find. Sometimes someone will take him to get food. Then he sells it for cheap booze. Many of those on the streets are drug addicts too. Some have lost a limb or two because of their addiction. You see them on crutches and wheelchairs and hopping around on one leg. During the day, they are downtown begging from the office workers and the shoppers. If they aren't causing a problem, police just look the other way. Joe's day is spent walking, begging, checking garbage, having an occasional nap. As night falls, he starts to think about where he will sleep. He finds a place in an abandoned building. He has a bottle that he will drink until he passes out. If he is lucky, he will wake up in the morning. Maybe, if he's lucky, he will not wake up in the morning. If it's cold, he may freeze to death. He may be killed by another homeless person or some sick killer. He may die from cheap booze. How lucky he is depends on his living or his death being painless. No one will miss him. no one will care. He is a lost and forgotten soul. Maybe when he's gone, someone may wonder what happened to that bum that used to beg there. Maybe one person will miss him. I may miss him. When we go, if one person realizes we're gone, then we were not totally lost. Okay, that, like I said, that was a composite. I know a lot of homeless people, and I feel sorry for them. I can't give them money because don't make enough money to sometimes to take care of myself. And I realize if the Republicans have their way, I'll be homeless. So, anyway, next I've got a trilogy here. Coping with pain, coping with life, and coping with death. So I'll go to that, and I may talk a little bit after that. Coping with pain. This is a subject that I know a little bit about because I'm coping with pain every day. When you're dealing with pain, you can take the medications and stuff, and Tylenol 3s and stuff like that, but I don't. I do use aspirin occasionally. Well, that's good for my heart too, so. But what you gotta do is you gotta learn to deal with it. Learn to accept it as reality. And it gets to the point where it doesn't bother you so much anymore. I've got cancer on my ear, and it's eating away at my ear, and it's like something's trying to eat me alive, and it hurts. It hurts like hell sometimes, but I've learned to live with it. It's hard to explain because it's in your mind. You have to let your mind control your feelings. You have to let your mind control your pain. And I don't have the urge to use drugs. You know, I don't have the urge to use crack, to use heroin. Heroin used to be a legal painkiller. The Bear Aspirin people are the ones that brought heroin to use before World War II. And in fact, the guy who was the head of Bear Aspirin in the beginning has died because of his heroin use. So it was legal for years, and then they realized that it was being used for a high instead of for pain, and it masked the pain. But then they found out that it was a dangerous drug, so they outlawed it. I'm not positive, but I do think that it's a legal prescription drug in England. But you just have to, like I say, you have to deal with it. Just the same with all the problems in your life. You got to find a way to set it aside
where it won't be bothering you enough to, and you have to find a way to do it mentally without drugs. Again, aspirin was fine, Tylenol, but not addicting drugs. Don't go to the crutch of a drug addiction. And I think you'll find that you can do it if you try hard enough. Because it will, the drugs are mind altering. You don't want your mind altered. You want to use your mind to benefit you. You want to be aware of what's going on. You don't want to go around in a fog. So, in order not to go around in a fog, sometimes you just have to let the pain be there. Just don't think about it. Don't constantly say, oh, it hurts, it hurts. Just put it aside in your mind. And I think you'll find that you can do it. Coping with life. Some people say life's a bitch. And others say shit happens. A lot of times things will happen in our lives that make things hard for us. Loss of a job can be a bad one, and it can cause a person to find a way not to improve things or make things better, but find a way to cover up the pain, and they turn to drugs or alcohol, which is a drug. So what you gotta do is you gotta deal with your problem. If you lose a job, just try and find another one and keep trying. If you can't find a job, maybe you need to change the field that you're in. There's places where you can go to help you. Like in Detroit, we have Focus Hope, and they have retraining programs. You may have to go to school. Of course, a lot of people can't afford to go to school, but there are programs out there that may be able to help you. You just have to make the best of what comes to you. I've been homeless before, and I lucked out. He conned a bar owner into letting me stay in his bar. Told him that way he'd have free security. But there's always a way. Other times people get into a situation where they're with someone and they're unhappy. The person may not treat them right, and they could be abusive either verbally or physically. So the person goes to wants to find a crutch or a way to escape, and their way to escape is to get high. But that's not the way. And after a while you get to a point where everybody's telling you how much fun you had the night before, and you can't remember the night before. So, what good is it? So, what you got to do is change your situation. You got to get out. You got to go. I mean, it's time. There's no reason to stay in a bad situation. There's no reason to hide from your problems by getting high. Deal with them. Now, you may not be able to solve it. If you can't solve it, work around it. Get rid of it. Just, I haven't had a bad day in 5 years, almost 6, because I don't allow myself to have a bad day. What I do when something comes up that's going to cause a problem is if I can't solve it, I work around it. So you got to try and find ways to improve your situation. And that way may be to change your situation. A lot of times we think we're stuck, and we aren't. We gotta get our butts moving. We gotta find a new way to do things. Sometimes we may need help to find that way. Sometimes we may just need someone that we can talk to. So when you're down and out, seek out a friend. If that doesn't work, seek out help. There are a lot of agencies around this city, the Detroit area, where you can go. And it depends on what your problem is. But don't get high on drugs. Get high on life. Make your life better. And I think that you will find that you don't need drugs. Thank you. A couple of things I want to say about that. Now the job situation is a lot worse than it was back then. You have more homeless now than you did when I did that. And oh dear, excuse me. I hit the button on the other computer to have this thing going. But things are a lot worse now than they were when I did that. And hopefully somebody will figure out how to correct it and how to get the jobs back. People are trying to say that the homeless are lazy people, but when you think about all the people that lost their jobs, and a lot of the homeless now had good incomes, but lost their jobs, couldn't find another one. The homeless rate in Detroit, I would bet, is close to what it is in other big cities, if not higher. And another thing, too, is that eventually people give up on looking for a job, and it's said that, well, they don't want a job. That's not necessarily true. There aren't jobs out here. Somebody told me that, well, there are jobs out there, but there really aren't. Not enough jobs for all the people that are unemployed.
I'm willing to bet that, well, Detroit has between 700,000 and 800,000 people in it now. Maybe even a little less than 7. I haven't looked at the latest census on it. But I'm willing to bet half of the adults are unemployed. It's a big problem. Anyway, I'm going to go to coping with death. Then I love life. Don't let a man drag you down for the women, and don't let a woman drag you down for the men. Don't let a man drag you down is a lot longer than don't let a woman drag you down, because more men drag women down than women drag men down. Of course, some people may disagree. And I'm going to close it with up and down the ladder. Then I may do a little more talking, or I may just sign off. I don't know which yet. You'll find out.
How to cope. A lot of people turn to drugs as an escape mechanism. They can't cope with the reality of life. They may have a tragic, traumatic experience. They could be in a relationship that they don't want to be in, and so they escape it using drugs or alcohol. I have a very close friend, in fact, someday she may be my wife, and she got off of drugs, but her father passed away, and she started drinking, and she became a drunk. Now she's clean and sober, and she's been clean and sober for over a year now. But we have to learn how to cope. We have to learn how to adjust to life and its problems. For example, using the young lady I just mentioned, her father passed away. He didn't die, his body died. He passed to a new life. He doesn't feel pain anymore. He doesn't, the hatred, no hatred. It's, when we die, it's our body that dies, not us. Our soul continues on. You see on TV lately the stories about the ghost, and the ghost being, wanting to cross, not being able to cross over, and people talking to ghosts. You see a lot of things where they have people, where you can actually see things that ghosts do. This is an afterlife. These ghosts may not have passed on to the next level. They may be in a limbo state. They may be waiting for something. They may, it could be anything. But when a loved one dies, actually, they're probably better off. Now, in case of accidental death or a shooting, they're gone before their time. At least you feel they are. But again, the pain is gone. They are with those who passed before them that they knew. And they may be waiting for you to come when it's your time. Not before, but when it's your time. My mother passed away recently. My father passed about 12 years before. Now my mother is with my father. Now she's happy. She was 92 years old and her mind was starting to go. But now she has her mind back. Life goes on after death. Not only for the dead person, but also for you. That person would not want you to go to drugs to forget or to ease your pain. And you have to continue on. You have to deal with it. You have to realize that they may be better off. Death is not always a sad thing. Sometimes it's a blessing. So, sometimes it's a reason to rejoice. Yes, I'm going to miss my mother. But I know that she's happy. And so I'm happy for her. You have to accept reality. And you have to work around it. So, deal with it. Don't mask it. Don't put yourself in a drunken stupor or put yourself in a high with drugs to escape, because you can't escape. When you come back down from your high, the problem's still going to be there unless you deal with it. Unless you put it aside. Keep that person in your heart. Love that person. Remember that person. And when you have a problem, you may even want to go to that person. Think about what that person would do. Life can be great on this earth. It can be better after you leave. Now, I'm not saying, well, if it's better there, why don't I just go now? No, you don't want to do that, because you won't go where you want to go if you decide to commit suicide. God wants us to live our life until He decides it's time for us to go. So that is life. I love life. You've probably heard people say life sucks. I guess sometimes they're right, but most of the time they suck. Some people can't take the bad things that come along in life. You have to learn to go with the flow and how to change the flow when you can. If you can't go with it and you can't change it, ignore it. The world can be tough at times. Some folks say life's a bitch, and sure enough it can be. You have to put up with it. If you play the game right, you can roll with the punches and come out on top, or maybe close to the top. Frankly, as long as I've am above the bottom, I'm happy. You get to the top, and it can be a long fall. The lower you are, the shorter the fall. Some say I do not have drive and ambition. I had it. Whenever I got to the top, something knocked my butt down. Sometimes that was me. In both marriages, the higher I got, the worse the marriage got. There is one thing I have learned. It isn't the only thing, just one of the things. Don't sweat the small stuff and the hell with the big stuff. I used to have heartburn all the time. When I decided not to let anything bother me, the heartburn left. I am self-employed, so I do not have to take the bullshit from a boss. I am good enough at what I do so that I do not have to take the bullshit from my clients either. If you realize that the material things are not important to you, you will have a better life. I live in a small downtown apartment within walking distance of the best entertainment in the world. I get buses to anywhere in the city within walking distance. Life is great for me because I do not worry about anything. I have a good life because I make it a good life. I work all the hours out of my apartment. I have time to write. From the end of January to April 15th, I don't have a lot of time to write because of tax season, but I make the time for it, and the ladies. Of course, I realize that many of you who are up there love your material things. If you're married, the odds are that the wife and the kids love them too. I am not saying that this is wrong. I am saying that if something happens, you may find yourself in a position where you will go down. It will probably be temporary, but at the time, you will not know how long it will be. Be prepared. Not only you, but your family too. Have an austerity plan. You do not know that your company will stay strong, or that you will always be liked by your superiors. You may piss someone off, and that can knock you out of your job. Always have the option in case you lose your job. Be involved in organizations in your industry. If you're an automotive engineer, be involved in the Society of Automotive Engineers. A large number of people who work for small businesses. The owner may be the only one that can keep it going. He may end up in a divorce, get critically ill, or in some other way find himself in a position where he will lose the company. He may have financing problems. You may have the orders but not the money to produce the product. There are so many things that can burst your bubble. The wife may decide she doesn't like you anymore. Everything can be lost in a short time. If you are ready for it, it may not hurt so bad. I have been talking about a man in a relationship, but the same can apply to the working woman. The non-working, paying job woman is in many cases dependent on her husband. She has to be ready in case he splits. Try to have a stash of money. No matter how much in love you are, and you think that a change can be overnight. Be prepared to start over again. Get a job. It can be a part-time job and can be made into a full-time job if needed. You may want to get into real estate sales. You may want to start a business out of your home. If your husband asks why, just tell him that you want to have money for gifts, so he doesn't have to pay for gifts from you. You're tired of asking him for money all the time.
If you're prepared, it will not hurt as much if you lose your position in life. Do not be an asshole, because if you are, when you go down, no one will help you. If you walked over people to get up the ladder, they will step on you when you're on your way down. Their misfortune will be their happiness. Be nice on your way up and help others. They may remember and help you recover. Try to have a nest egg, not only for a rainy day, but to save your butt. Thank you.
This is for the ladies out there. I have seen many women go down because of men. I would imagine that most of the women in prison are there because of men. Most of the women on drugs are addicts because of men. A man can drag a woman down so quickly. There's a lot of men out there who want a woman to be their slave, to do what they want to do, to go out there and work for them and then take all their money. Then you got men that will keep the woman at home and not let her go anywhere. And in both cases, if the woman complains or does something to irritate the guy, then odds are he's going to beat on her. Verbal abuse is also bad. Both of them hurt. And it's sad when I know of a woman who's having a problem with the man, who is doing everything she can to make a guy happy, and he beats her, he cheats on her, treats her like dirt. A lot of cases with the drugs, a woman will fall in love with a man who's using, and he gets her to use along with him. He also gets her to go out and get the money to buy more drugs. It seems to me that a woman who finds herself in a situation where a man is bringing her down, she's got to find out how to get out. She has to look for help. Calling the police can make things worse sometimes. Get a court order for the guy to leave her alone, and all they do to him is maybe throw him in jail overnight, if that, and then when he comes back, it beats her again. A lot of women are in prison for killing the man. The sad thing is that it was self-defense. Yeah, but the man was asleep when she did it. Well, that's the only time that she has to defend herself sometimes. When he's awake, he's going to beat her up. Maybe even kill her. So sometimes the only way to stop it is to get him while he's asleep. I'm not sitting there saying that if a man beats you, kill him. First of all, you gotta try and get out of it. Do what you can to get out of it. There's been a few movies about it, like I think it was The Burning Bed. J-Lo was recently in a movie about it, where every place she went, her husband found her. Finally, she learned self-defense and beat him and ended up killing him. And by the time the police came, she had everything cleaned up so that she could say it was self-defense and get away with it. But ladies, never let a man drag you down. The first time he hits you, get out. The first time he abuses you verbally, get out. Don't put up with it. Don't take the bullshit. You are too good to be run by a man. And even if you think that you'll never find anyone else, that's better than the situation you're in. Because you'll find someone else. And life can be good for you. You just have to get out of a situation that is bringing you down. That goes for just about any other situation too. If you find yourself in a bad situation, you gotta change it. You gotta do something to make it better. So, please, find help. Do what you can to save your life. Love you, ladies. Bye. This one's for the men. Men, don't let a woman drag you down. Just before I was talking about the women letting a man drag them down, but women do, some women can drag a man down. Some women can get abusive. And you can't let it go on. You don't want to start hitting on her because she hits you. When you fight back and somebody calls the police, if she has some bruises on her, even though she was the aggressor, you may be the one to go to jail. The cops aren't going to believe you, especially if she's a lot smaller than you are. I know a woman that could deck a man with one punch. When I knew her, she was only about 5'4", weighed about 120 pounds, and I saw her deck a 350 pounder. She could take care of herself, that's for sure. But she could also take care of me. So and also, you got women that love to spend. Some of them will spend all your money if they can. And if you don't have much, you're in deep trouble. I found that out a few times too. And so what you gotta do is you gotta remember, don't let a woman drag you down. No matter how much you love a person, if the relationship is causing you to go down, whether you're a man or a woman, it can be disastrous for you. And you gotta get out of it. You can't say, well, I'll give it a little more time, maybe she'll change. You can't try and change her. You gotta know when to go. Because if you wait too long, it may be too late. So don't let a woman drag you down. And ladies, again, don't let a man drag you down. So careful. Don't let love blind you, because it will if it gets a chance.
This next one is called Up and Down the Ladder. Part of it will seem like the I Love Life one, but it sort of expands on it. And so I'm going to play that. And afterwards, I think I may say a couple words and then play my Mr. Lee sign off. So, here we down the ladder. I have been up and down the ladder of success 3 times. This time I don't want to go up far. I am where I want to stay financially. If the book is a success, I will not benefit financially because most of the proceeds are going to helping others. Something that people do not realize is that as you go down the ladder, you find more people that are real. They do not play the game of life, but they live life. There are many who could be successful, and many who were successful, but they became addicts. They became addicted to drugs and or alcohol. Some just dropped out of life and fell into the bottle. I'm not saying that it's anybody's fault but theirs. When I was a drunk, it was by choice, not my ex-wife's. When I quit, it was my decision. This is the way it is with the lost and forgotten souls. They have to find their own way out of their hole. I am trying to help them find that way, but the only way they can get out of it is if they want to. I see them get high and come back down. I see them shaking because they need to get a high but don't want to. When they are not high, they are not craving the stuff, they talk about quitting, and they know that they need to quit. The night before they plan on going into rehab, they just have to have one last high. And that's never the last high. If any of you know someone who with a substance abuse problem, talk to them. Don't preach to them, but reason with them. It may not work. In fact, it probably won't. But you may save a life. When you do not succeed, it hurts. But you have not failed. They are thinking about what you have said, and someday they may realize that it's time to quit and do it. Greatest reward is to have lost and forgotten soul find themselves and being remembered and knowing that you help. I have been hurt many times. I have thought about ending it all in the past. I thought about the bottle and drugs. Then I realized that what I have gone through has given me a gift, wisdom, and the ability to help others help themselves. The greatest gift we have is life. What we do with that gift is up to us. We can use it or abuse it. If we use it for the good, we will be rewarded. If we misuse it or abuse it, we eventually lose. Addicts are not bad people, but they are lost. They need their friends and family. If you do not know how to help, look for places that can help you. If you contact the Salvation Army, I'm sure they will help. Check the internet search engines. Do not abandon them.
There will be times when you have to use tough love. You will have to use the word no a lot. They will tell you that they hate you. Sometimes they will hate you. It is sometimes harder on you than it is on them, but if you succeed, the rewards are great. Most of you probably do not know a crack addict. Most of you who do know a drug or an alcohol abuser. Think about it. Someone that is constantly has a drink, pill poppers, and those that do both. Some may realize, some may not show that they are drunk or high. You may be used to their condition and not realize that they're drunk or high. This may be your child or your parent, a friend or a relative. They may need you to save their life. Excessive alcohol and drug use kills. This even includes marijuana. If you are experimenting with drugs, you are in danger. If you get addicted, you may die tomorrow. Get help before it's too late. I have seen many lives go down the tubes. I have had many friends die. I do not know you. If you die, I will not know you. Someone will be hurt. Someone loves you. Someone needs you. There may be an unborn child, not even conceived yet. It is depending on you to be clean and sober so that they can have a chance at life. I lost a child because its mother was a crack addict. It is my fault too because we had unprotected sex. And even though she told me she had quit, I felt that she had not quit. We love each other, and even though she is now clean and sober, we cannot be together. One reason is the loss of the baby. She asked if it was male or female. Doctor said it was too early to tell. We will never know. The baby disintegrated.
Okay, both the last two were, well, this one and the one I Love Life were sort of mistitled, I think. Well, the I Love Life wasn't mistitled, but that also had the Up and Down the Ladder in it. And can't remember hearing the ladder in this one. Anyway, like I mentioned, I know a lot of drug addicts. And most of the ones that died from it didn't die because of the drug itself. They died because they were illegal. Drug dealers, some of them are pretty good people. They only sell to adults. The ones that sell to kids, I don't like them at all. But the thing is that it's a dangerous field, and it's dangerous to be a drug addict. I know a few addicts who have been murdered. I know some drug dealers that came close to being killed. Plus, you get a long term in prison. But if you legalize, still control, but legalize, the drug dealers will be gone. A lot of lives would be saved because of the stuff that ends up in the drugs. In Detroit, I lost a very close friend because they had heroin that had poison in it. It was something to make the high, I think, last longer and be a bigger high, but it also killed people. They said that 150 people died, but I'm sure it was about 450, maybe even 500. If drugs were legal, that wouldn't have happened. I know of a kid who was a straight A student in high school. Smoked some marijuana. It had something in it. He went crazy. He was in front of a train and a brave cop pushed him out of the way. But then he was working for a drug dealer, and this gal tried to get the drug dealer to give her free drugs for sex. Well, it wouldn't be free. The drug dealer said no, so the kid was cleaning the bathroom. She went in there and asked him, and he killed her. If it weren't for that marijuana, he wouldn't have killed her. If marijuana were legal, it'd be good medication. In some places it's legal for medication. I think in Detroit, if you have a script, you can get it. I'm not positive. But according to the feds, that's still illegal. And plus with marijuana, I just saw something the other day saying that it can cure cancer, but it can also cause cancer. A lot of the cancer cures cause cancer. But if it's controlled, though, even heroin, even crack cocaine, you'll save a lot of lives. And then the money made from it can go to helping stop the crack and marijuana habits. Can go to training the kids in school. I know of a lot of ex-cons that work with kids. And why not pay them to go into classes and talk to the kids? As young as 5th graders, maybe even 4th graders. They'll listen to an ex-con or an ex-addict because they've been there and done that. They won't listen to the teachers. They won't listen to a psychologist because they don't know what they're talking about when it comes to the drugs problems. So, anyway, I am going to go to close the show. I'm going to play the Babette saying I shot Mr. Lee in my regular sign-off, but after that, what I'm starting to do on all my shows is end them with Every Time We Say Goodbye by Ray Charles and Betty Carter. So, here we go. Uh-oh.
1, 2, 3. I shot Mr. Lee. 3, 4, 5. I got tired of his job. Whoa, 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 should have never. Whoa, 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 should have never. Whoa, 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 should have never. Oh no. Whoa, 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 should have never. Whoa, 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 should have never. Oh no. Whoa, 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 should have never. Should have never met a sweetie. You should have never met me. Shouldn't have never met a sweetie. Shouldn't have never met me. Now his memory is down in history. He was a real cool cat and wore a high top hat. He was a real cool cat and wore a high top hat. He was a handsome cat. All the girls loved that. I said, whoa, 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 should have never. I picked up my gun.
hope you enjoyed the show. I want you all to have a good day. I want you to have a good week, good month, and a good year. Most of all, I want you to have a beautiful life. And thank you for being you.
Oh, every time we say goodbye, I die a little. Every time we say goodbye, I wonder why a little. Why the gods above me, who must be in the know, think so little of me. They allow you to go, and when you're near, there's such an air of spring about it. I can hear a lark somewhere begin to sing about it. There's no love song finer, but how strange the change from major to minor. Every time we say goodbye, every time we say goodbye,
every time we say goodbye, I die a little. Every time we say goodbye, I wonder why a little, why the gods above me, who must be in the know, so little of me. They allow you to go. When you're near, there's such an air of spring about it. I can hear a lark somewhere begin to sing about it. There's no love song finer, but how strange the change from major to minor. Every time